Well, welcome to Senior Travel Adventures, which is now known as Ageless Adventures. It's even hard for me to keep saying it, but Ageless Adventures is what we are now. And today my guests are very special as always because, you know, I love having my guest on my show, and one you might recognize from a prior episode. But I have Nancy and her daughter Desiree, and I wanted them here today to talk about multi-generational travel, and specifically they took a special trip to Turkey. So thank you both for joining me today.
Thanks for having us,
Thank you so much, Debbie.
Well, tell me a little bit. You all have traveled before, you told me.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you have several kids, so, you know, I'm sure you traveled with them. But this was a special girls type trip. So what brought it on? What was the special occasion?
Well, I think the beauty of travel is that as we age, my daughter's age, it becomes just a very enjoyable thing for us to do together, a way to share and connect in things that we like. And so it was one of my daughter's 50th birthday, and so she invited the two of us to go with her. And so in January, so we picked up our stuff and we flew to Istanbul, and we spent about, I think, a little over a week there. Just meandering the city and connecting, finding certain neighborhoods to visit and eat and drink and be merry and experience the nightlife. Yeah.
Oh, wow, the nightlife. Well, there you go. That's something I don't see too much of when I travel. I'm not a big nightlife person.
Oh, you should see what happens at 9 and 9:30.
I'm sure. Well, you know, I solo travel, so
Yes.
I'm typically not out and about after about 8 or 9 o'clock
Probably
in
a
the
good
night.
thing. Uh-huh.
Well, I've heard that Istanbul is lovely, so why don't you tell me something about it? So what was your standout, Desiree? Do you have a standout moment there?
Well, it was my first trip there. My mom and my sister had already been there.
Okay.
And so that's why my sister chose Istanbul, because it was one of her favorite cities and it was a place she wanted to visit again. And so I was very excited. It was on my list for sure. But Istanbul surprised me because it was very, very safe feeling to me. And it was very European. I lived in Europe for over 5 years. So when I went there, I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know what to expect, but it was gorgeous and really unique. I mean, having the skylines full of mosques and kind of being immersed in some way to the culture and to the religion and the food and just so many visually pleasing elements. Like, there's so much beauty there. And
I have heard that. I've not visited yet. I always say yet because, you know, my list is very long. Nancy knows my list is very long. But that's lovely. So where did you live in Europe?
I lived in Bucharest, Romania for over 5
so
years. Yeah, Eastern Europe. So I
Wow.
love Eastern Europe. I love Europe. It feels like home to me. And I didn't quite know what to expect. I'd heard it was such a great city. But I think because I had spent so much time in Europe, when I got there, I was like, wow. This reminds me of Bucharest, and that reminded me of Germany, and that reminded me of some other place. So it felt very nostalgic in a way, but also very new and exciting.
Wow. So was there something that stood out? You've been there.
Well, I had been there, but just kind of following up on what Desiree said, what I really appreciated was when we did the transportation, she goes, I have a feeling. I think this is where the underground is. This is where we're going to catch things because this is how it is in Romania. And so it was really very familiar. But it is kind of a melding and blending of a lot of cultures. And they really pride themselves on the things that they do. So every place we went, it was really a very special event. And people treated us really nice. We walked mostly from place to place and neighborhood to neighborhood, and I don't know, it went really well. I think for us, the three of us are very similar travelers, so that made it kind of nice. And you know, we had a couple things that we wanted to do and experience, but really, I think, don't you? We just sort of rolled with the flow.
You just sort of got up in the morning and had your Turkish coffee.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, you know, obviously we're showing some pictures as we're chatting, but, you know, I always love seeing pictures from the places. It does make me always want to go there. How was the language? I mean, did you have any language issues?
No, I don't think we did.
No, I mean, because we kind of just make our way through quite a few things. Believe it or not, quite a few people spoke English.
Okay, good.
So really relatable. They were using Google Translate, if not. Obviously, we were in a lot of touristy type places. So we were in the Grand Bazaar and things like that. And English restaurants, we could point, we could figure it out. And what was hard to figure out was an adventure, and we enjoyed it.
Right,
So,
you made an adventure out of
but I
it, which
think
is
it's-
perfect.
I think a lot of signs were in English. Signage was easy to read. It was very easy place to be a tourist.
Yeah, well, that's good to know because my audience, I like to share with them places where they can feel comfortable, safe traveling, where they're not worried. But I'll tell you what, how did we live without Google Translate?
Or Google Maps.
Or Google,
Google Maps,
Honestly.
Google Translate,
There's a lot of things.
Google putting it on the menu and having the menu turn into English. I don't know what I would do without any of that myself. So you celebrated the birthdays, obviously. Was there any special event for the birthdays? Did you go to a special restaurant or?
Yeah, we did. My family is from Lebanon, so, it kind of fits into culturally my upbringing. And so we found a really beautiful Lebanese restaurant. I think we stayed up that night a little bit late and we sat out on the we would say piazza or, outside, and we ate and we laughed and enjoyed each other's company, and we met fellow travelers. So that's always kind of a fun thing too, to get to know people and get their views and perspectives on things. I think that's one of my favorite parts is just listening to people and learning different things about different places.
I agree, Nancy. I've met and learned so much from different people and made so many friends that you keep. It's people. You meet people, you don't connect with them, or you don't. After that, it's like they're out of sight, out of mind. I've connected with several people now over the last few years, and I'm in a WhatsApp group with one of the groups, and we're texting each other every day. Yeah. So where's your next trip together?
Well, we're just sort of talking about that.
We're trying to get Mom to plan something in the next year, and it's hard for her, I think, to make a decision and pull the trigger. But
we're actually going wine tasting on Saturday. And I'm taking my daughters and daughter-in-law, so another kind of a family thing.
That's cool. Are you locally or like Paso?
In Paso.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so lovely.
My favorite as well.
Oh my, that's my all-time. I can't wait.
I was thinking there's something else we did. We went to a hammam for
I was going to say
birthday.
that.
What did you think?
So my sister really wanted to do that, and it was my first time, and they had both already had that experience. It was so incredibly beyond what I imagined. Like I knew it was going to be delightful, but it was so relaxing, so grounding, very, I don't know, I think I really enjoyed it because it was so ancient and it's so old and it's a tradition that I could almost understand and feel connected to all the thousands of years of people who have done that before me. And those types of experiences mean a lot to me. So I loved it. I think I would highly recommend that as a very unique way to experience the Turkish culture.
I actually did a hammam in Morocco. I wasn't sure. I have a crazy story around how I bet you do about getting there because the taxi driver didn't take me to the right place, and then the place that I ended up where I had the appointment wasn't what I was expecting. I think for people who are very reserved, hammam, you just kind of have to let go, and let someone else drive, so to speak. And so that was a little bit interesting for me. There were things about it that just, if you can get to the point of relaxation, it's wonderful. I think a lot of people carry so much stress, it's hard to get rid of it.
I don't think any of the three of us are very modest people. I'm sorry, I'm speaking for you, Mom. I just think that's, but I can see if you were a more modest person, it would make me feel uncomfortable. For us, especially, it wasn't a problem.
No,
we went together. So it was really...
the first time I went was we went to the oldest hammam in Turkey, which I'm not sure that I remember the name, but I think I might, but I might be saying it wrong. So I will just say it was very old school.
Okay.
And men and women were separated, which was a good thing, and men and women were separated for us. But I think we're very similar, my daughters and I. I know it was an easy thing. It was very nice, and I think really if you kind of know what to expect.
Well, and I will tell the audience, if you haven't experienced a mom, look it up first to make sure you're comfortable with that, because they're going to basically bathe you, and they pour warm water over you, which is relaxing. I'm not going to say it's not, but you will, have the proper expectation before you go. And if that's something you don't think you're going to be comfortable with, I mean, I know people who don't like massages, so for something like that, they might be. I know. Can you imagine not wanting a massage? No. Yes, anytime, any place, give me a massage. But some people don't like that thing. So a hammam may not be for them. But I certainly think for many, like particularly Turkey, in Morocco and things, that is a very traditional thing that's been around for however long, thousands of years. And it does bring the cultural experience. But, going like to the restaurant that you went to, when people want to immerse themselves in the culture, that's the type of things that they should probably look for, is things that are native to that area, that are maybe they can only find in that area, or, certain areas of the world. So that because I do know that a lot of my audience is looking for the cultural experience, not just the tourist traps and not just those things. I mean, that comes too.
I think one of the things for us in travel is that we do have a few things that we had expected to see. I always say, if I'm in France and Paris, I'm going to see the Eiffel Tower. But the best thing is drop me off somewhere and let me find my way back home, and then just experience small things, people, interactions, off the beaten path stuff. And so I would say that was our trip in Istanbul. We stayed in a neighborhood. Do you remember the name?
Yeah, we stayed on the Asian side. And that was, I didn't know what to expect. You could read all the things about what side to stay on. And I was very happy to where we were, because part of the joy is then we're like understanding our neighborhood, and we're just like, where are we going to get coffee, and where do people get a little treat, and then where's Turkish? Oh, look at this little coffee shop. Let's just meander through there and stay for an hour or two, just because we're talking to people. And so I think because we're really similar and we enjoy not having to check a bunch of places off the list, but just to actually get to know the place. So we gave ourselves a day just to walk around just in our area and to know it. And then we could navigate it. We probably walked around 10 miles a day or so. Because then we'd go over to the old city and go to the thing. Let's go back and get those meatballs that we saw. And then, we just kind of went back and forth. And it's just the joy of kind of making yourself feel at home in a new place too.
Do you feel, though, Desiree, that you have more of the wanderlust because of your parents?
Yeah,
they love to travel.
Well, it's so interesting because I did definitely do some, like, we went to Mexico together when I was in junior high. And then actually I went with my parents to Romania for the first time in 1998. But then I moved to Europe when I was 19 years old. So in a lot of ways, I think they probably gave me I guess I would say that the ability to even see that as an option. I think having them as parents has really helped me with that. But I think because I was so young too, my whole life was, I was an immigrant. I didn't know where I was, and I had to figure things out. So that, in those really formative years, I have kids that are that age now. I'm like, what in the world was I doing?
Exactly. Like, you can't.
How could I have done that? These kids. So personally, that's my own personal story, but it really formed me. So there's something so at home to me about not being with my own people or
Right.
culture or in my
Right,
language
like
or
getting
something.
out of breaking out. And I think that's a great thing. But you're so right about your own children. It's like you look at that age. Like I look at my granddaughter's age, and I know what I was doing at her age, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so different, and I couldn't even expect. Like I couldn't even imagine her. I was married by her age,
Exactly.
and I can't even imagine her. She's living her life, and it's a different generation. I mean, when they talk about generational differences, it's true. The Gen Z, and I don't even know what your kids are
What are they?
Well, I don't even know.
I think they're Zs. No, they're Zs.
Are they
I think
Z?
Zs, yeah.
Okay, because there's now they're calling my generation Generation Jones because it's not a boomer. And
Are
it's
you
not,
after a boomer? What?
I'm and yeah,
Boomer and
I would be technically a boomer, but there's I think it's 54.
sub-boomer.
Yeah, 54 to 64.
Yeah,
1950. Yeah,
I'm on the border of a generation too. So I get it. You're like, am I really that? I feel more identified with that in some areas and more.
right. I always identify with the younger side. So yeah,
Not me. I'm the older side.
Yeah, right. It's kind of funny though because I'm a big TikTok fan, and so I get to see a lot of the different generational things there, and also people. Because I travel, I listen to a lot of travel stuff on TikTok of different ages and what they think is important versus what I might think is important. Totally different. Totally different. So, are you going to encourage your children to go travel the world?
Question. Well, I married a Romanian, and so our family is overseas. And I've traveled with small kids their whole life. They've been on airplanes and done things like that. And yeah, we definitely love travel. My kids, I think, have a bent towards international travel and just being open to new places and exploring. And I think one of the great things that my mom did for us when we were kids is just like treated us like we were her friends and partners in the adventure. And that's kind of the way I think of like, oh, no, I'm going to this museum. We're going to eat at this cafe. We're going to wait in line. And even if you're tired, you're going to figure this out. So just kind of helping the kids adapt to my flow. They can do whatever they want on their own trips. But I felt like my mom taught us how to kind of experience places and be more open, and that's kind of the goal of when I travel with my kids too.
Okay, that's great. That's great. It does make a difference. I mean, I grew up where we didn't go anywhere because we didn't have money, and my family was just a different. Travel was not a thing. And really, I didn't even get on an airplane till I was 22. Yeah. And then I only flew from Chicago to Detroit. So I don't even really think that counts too much. But I think after that, I never looked back. I mean, there were a lot of years where I couldn't go for responsibility-wise.
Same.
But boy, now now it's just like, where am I going to go? I want to go so many places. Sometimes that actually paralyzes you, though.
Having such a big list.
Yeah,
for sure,
because where do you
prioritize?
How do you prioritize? Because there's only so many, dollars and time and this and that. And I still work part-time as a professor. And I got a lot going on because I want to go back to the Camino. So I want to do the Camino Portuguese. Yeah. And in fact, my other niece, yesterday was her 40th birthday, and she is doing the Camino Portuguese solo.
From where?
She started in Porto.
Great.
Yeah. And
happy birthday to her.
Yes, and I've been, following her on Instagram, and she wrote a very poignant message about her birthday and about how the people because she's staying at the the hostels and the albergues, and people from 5 or 6 places singing and happy birthday in different. She said, I don't know how I would ever have a better experience, So
that's so beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? I've been thinking about it since I read it because I was like, okay, that's what the Camino to me is all about, right?
A deep sense of community.
I'm just a little more bougie at this age. I like my privacy. I love talking to people on while I'm walking, but I like my little private time at night. So
and I'm actually plan on taking a group next spring to the Camino.
Oh,
again.
lovely.
So this will be my second trip that I've facilitated, and
Okay.
I think definitely my mom taking us there has lit a deep love. It's something I really cannot. I know this is not about the Camino, but I cannot speak highly enough.
Here's my thing is that I like these types of conversations that start in one place and go somewhere else, because that's really what the show is about. Sharing experiences, travel, good, bad, otherwise. And the Camino is a special. If you haven't watched my Camino episode, please do so that you know what we're talking about. But for all of us here, the Camino is very special. And you can see that the Camino calls you again and again. If somebody thinks that they can't do it physically, you can.
I agree. I cannot think of any limiting factors. I'm sure there's some, but really, truthfully, there's a way to make these things happen. And it may be different than you think, but there's something for everybody on the Camino, really. And in any kind of travel, you modify a few things, you change a few things, but it's definitely, I think, doable. And you're a solo traveler, so I have a lot of people who talk to me about that, and they go, I'm going to be by myself. And I say, yes, you are, but you're not really by yourself. You can if you want to be, but you're not really by yourself. And my husband always says, everybody's watching out for everybody, because this is, for a lot of small villages, this is their major livelihood. They're happy to have people in, and this is how they sustain, their life, and what keeps the villages slightly prosperous. So they're going to do everything they can. And I think it's just a lot of it is relinquishing, I think, the fears that we have, the things that we say to ourselves. But it's definitely doable, I think.
Yeah, I do too. And I don't want to say like I've seen people like with disabilities, but something that stands out in my mind still is this: several people came and then they had a tether.
Yeah.
And then we looked, and then some people I had met, we were like, what is that? Then we realized blind. They were helping a blind person to do the Camino. And that has stuck with me for so long. And, then there was a huge group of school children, probably middle school, 8th grade-ish type of thing, and we're like, oh my gosh, because they hope they're not staying where we're staying, because they were loud, and they didn't. But you just see, and and you talk about that, and alone, doesn't mean lonely. Alone is what you want it to be. Somebody said, well, I want to go, but I'm an introvert. Well, it's okay. You can still be an introvert. It's up to you how much or how little interaction you want. But you will have people. And I feel like when you travel, and my last blog was about solo travel safety, and about little things you can do to, you don't have to tell people you're alone. You don't have to say, you can always say, I'm waiting, or my friends went. You can tell little fibs if you're, you don't have to always say, I'm always like, I'm so, but that's me. But I am very cautious of my surroundings, so it's not like that. But
I think that's always a good thing.
Yeah,
no matter what. Whether it was solo or not, actually.
Right. Well, exactly. It doesn't matter. In fact, somebody was asking me about that. I said, well, even though I wrote it, from a solo perspective, it certainly is things that everybody can benefit from. Personal safety is important, and being aware. I think a lot of it is being aware. Just like you said, you went to Istanbul and you felt very safe and secure, and
I've been to a lot of places, and that was refreshingly. I felt like I came home and just told my husband, I was like, this surprised me just how kind and safe, and of course I was aware and looked around, and
well, of course,
very respectful, very respectful.
And I think mostly, a lot of people, they just hear a lot of the stories. I mean, when you think about the stories you hear, there's thousands and thousands of stories that were great. You just happen to hear the worst part of things, and I mean, pickpockets, things like that. That is a fact.
Right.
That's just a fact. You just have to be really cautious. But people aren't necessarily there to hurt you. They don't want to harm you. They're very. I think your demeanor is also a way that helps.
I agree with you on that too.
Yeah. When I walk, I walk with confidence.
Yeah.
And that I'm not worried
Not looking
about
at your phone.
Yeah.
And not paying attention. And listen.
and here's what I said in my blog. I said, if you do have to look at the map on your phone, stop. Put your back to a wall so you can see in front of you, and then look. Yeah. But don't stop in the middle of the sidewalk and look, or
as you're crossing the street.
That's what I just told the people going to London. Just remember to look left.
Both ways. Twice.
Yeah, both ways twice. But don't forget about left. The bus is going to come this close to you. All right. Well, thank you both for coming. It was a pleasure meeting you, and I love your mom and dad.
I know, she's so lovable.
I know, she is. All right. And we'll be right back.
Have you been feeling not quite like yourself lately? Low mood, brain fog, poor sleep, no focus? At Root Cause Wellness Center, we offer ExoMind, an FDA-cleared treatment for depression, a safe, non-invasive therapy that helps reset your brain with no medication or downtime. Our patients often experience better mood, sharper thinking, deeper sleep, and more energy. It's time to feel like yourself again. Call us today to schedule your complimentary demo with consultations.
What if healing wasn't about masking pain, but restoring your body's ability to heal itself? At the Goswami Clinic, Dr. Gaurav Goswami has spent over 15 years helping patients recover using advanced stem cell therapy. By using your body's own cells, we help treat orthopedic, spine, and sports injuries so you can get back to living an active life. With cell banking, you can preserve your strongest cells, protecting your future mobility for decades to come. Call today to book your consultation.
Thank you for joining me today on Ageless Adventures, formerly known as Senior Travel Adventures. I appreciate you viewing me each month, whether it's on Village Television, CMAC, or on YouTube. I am so happy that you're here. Again, thank you always for watching the show, and safe travels.